Hey, what's up, guys? Tuki here, back again, and this is another episode of A Nation United, and let's get right down to business. We ended the last episode in a very familiar spot, where we're battling it out for the playoffs, but there is that uncertainty as to whether or not we're actually a playoff team. There's that lingering thought of, should we just get rid of certain players and try something different, bring in veterans, just get rid of guys in general. And the conclusion so far, whenever we've hit this wall, has been to just stand pat, keep going, and see what happens. Now, last season, that didn't work out for us, and there is a chance that this season, the same strategy could fail. But despite that concern, I think we are just going to go ahead with that same strategy. The plan this year was to see what kind of progression we could get out of the bottom six. Andre Burakovsky and Victor Arvidsson haven't exactly shown, or have yet, to really show those signs that they're worth moving. Burakovsky's had a decent year. Arvidsson's having a decent year with 21 points. And again, you could argue, as I've said a million times, changing him from a two-way. I think this team just needs to prove that they are good enough to make it. And like I've said, the hope is that the bottom six, somebody eventually progresses, right? That's the hope. Whether or not it's a Jonathan Dahl and a Malta Stromwall who won't get better, but the hope is, to eventually move Stromwall up to the third line. And then you have players down here, Asplund, Vedamo, Stenlund, Pedersen. The hope is that eventually they get to that level. Now, whether or not that happens, we don't know yet. But we will find out in the very near future. Now, the good thing is, I did remember just now that I need to put Carl Grundstrom and Elias Anderson back into the lineup. Very glad that I remembered to do that. I thought that the AHL roster was looking a bit thin. So that helps, and what I'll do is, because I was looking at point totals. I was looking at point totals and seeing, okay, who's struggling and who isn't, and that's why certain players, like Marcus Davidson, are on the fourth line. But I am going to stick with what worked. That top line will stay the same. Everything else is good to go. We do have a bit of time before the trade deadline. It is only January 26th. We are approaching the All-Star break. So if this strategy proves to be the wrong one, yet again, we will have time to maybe make those changes. Now again, oh my god, in the first game we lose 8-2. That doesn't help. Again, there are veterans. Matthias Ekholm, who is on Boston now in this series, is another option. I've mentioned Berglund and Soderberg so many times. Or maybe even going after somebody else. But another big problem here, is the lack of draft picks. We've given up so many draft picks to go out and get some of these players, to get some of these prospects, that in order to move to acquire, second, third, fourth line guys, which we didn't plan on doing, which is why I was willing to give up the draft picks, but we don't exactly have the pieces necessary to do that at this current time. So that is the problem. What I'm going to do right now, though, I do want to pay attention to scouting. I want to see, in what region do we have Swedes that are worth scouting? Are there any Swedes in the WHL? I believe is what I was looking at, and indeed there is not. Alright, so we'll switch that over. It is worth double-checking because there have been a couple of Swedes to pop up in the first few drafts that we had no information on because they were outside of the SHL. So it is at least worth looking really quick as to whether or not there are any other players outside of the SHL that we can go after this year. And I completely forgot to do this before I started recording, so now I'm kind of kicking myself because it takes up a little bit of time in the episode. But maybe, just maybe, because we're waiting a little bit longer, the team that just lost 8-2 can decide, oh yeah, shit, the episode started. We actually have to play. That is my hope. That is my hope. Now, I do realize, of course, too, that Swedes are most likely to appear, rather in Liga as opposed to the CHL or in the States. But sometimes, sometimes it happens. So it's at least worth Double checking. Takes a couple of minutes. We'll be fine. We will be fine, and it's worth it. It is worth it. Russians, of course, typically end up being, all the countries that you're seeing here. You know, Ukraine, Belarus, stuff like that. So it's not looking like a particularly deep draft for us coming up here. It might just be the case that, of course, the one time I decide to look, that all of the Swedes happen to be in the SHL this year, which is really what it's looking like, which makes me feel like I'm wasting a lot of time here. But again, we'll be okay. So let's see. Again, no Swedes. Again, no Swedes. They have to all be in the SHL this year. They have to all be in the SHL. The one year that I look, and it's not worth it. Like I said, I know that there have been Swedes from outside the SHL that have appeared in the draft. So I figured, hey, why not? We'll take a minute, we'll look, and we'll see if it's worth it. Turns out it wasn't worth it. Unless, of course, there's a Swede in the last place we looked, the SHL, and there you go. Holy shit, there's an SHL. Well, you have no idea how badly I want to draft him, but unfortunately, this is not a Finland series, this is a Swedish series. But I will keep that in mind. We do have 2 Swedes in Liga, a 7th round projected player, and an undrafted projected player. Lovely. They were both defensemen, weren't they? I just completely blanked on whether or not they were both defensemen. There's actually 3... Wait, what? Weren't there only 2 a second ago? Well, regardless, they're all defensemen. They're all defensemen. So let me scout the Liga defense. And you know what? We might as well just go 6 weeks. Why not? We'll get as much information on those guys as possible. Let's get back into the sim. We have a season to finish. We have a postseason to make, damn it. This needs to be our year. We need to get back into the postseason right now. And we have won 2 straight games, but a 7-6 shootout win over Arizona isn't exactly, inspiring. And we just lost Marcus Högberg for a couple of weeks, pretty much the entire month of February. Great. Well, Adam Werner, I hope you're ready, bud, because you will be in, because we're going to need him to play at least a game here coming up. So that is unfortunate. That is unfortunate. He was the backup in that game, too, which is very interesting. I did forget, and people are going to hate me. I forgot to turn on auto-rotate. I'm sorry. I'll make sure to do it at some point, if not in this episode, for next season. All right? From the looks of it, we do have quite a few back-to-backs, but that might not be the worst thing because I might need to change up the lines here quite a bit. We have gotten blown out twice so far this episode. At least we've bounced back with wins in the next game, and then Jens Luke goes down to injury. Oh my god. We're going to miss the playoffs because of the injury bug, aren't we? Aren't we? Alright, Elias Anderson or Carl Grundstrom? Elias Anderson or Carl Grundstrom? Could be Walmart. I don't want to lose him on waivers. Let's call up Elias Anderson again. We'll call up Elias again and see what he can do. He'll be on the 4th line with Stromwall and Dahlin. And hopefully he can contribute. He's a lefty, correct? Yes, he is. So we'll swap him. And Dahlin is a much better center anyway. Perfect. Alright. So who do we got that we can go on that top line spot? That didn't make sense, but don't worry. It didn't need to. We'll put Holmstrom back in. And we'll just swap him with Davidson. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Oh boy. Oh boy. And you know what? We're actually going to play Adam Werner in the very next game. It is against the Vancouver Canucks. Don't get blown out, please. Holy shit, we won. Even better. Even better. Certainly didn't expect that, and we're still right in the mix. 63 points, 2 points back of Calgary. Again, Calgary walked this division last year. It wasn't even close. The Flames dominated. The fact that we're close, that's an opportunity. Now, the good thing is we have 5 points on San Jose. The bad news is, once again, the Central Division has both wildcard spots. So the pressure is on, and losing a game to Anaheim, who are only a point behind us, isn't exactly what we needed to see there. Not at all. We play Arizona, we get a 6-2 win at least, but man, we struggle against the Anaheim Ducks. We really, really do. Is Jens Luke going to be fully healthy for this game against Minnesota? I need to know. Yes, he is. Okay. So we'll probably play Adam Werner against the Wild here. They're a good team. We are currently on 67 points. Anaheim and Calgary both on a very sexy 69, and still a 5-point advantage, a 5-point edge on the Sharks. All right, Elias. You haven't done too bad at the NHL level, but we are still going to have to send you back down to get Jens Luke back in the lineup. So let's send Elias back down. Of course, the hope is next year he makes the jump to definitely be at least on the 4th line. It could be even better. For my sake, I better hope. A lot of people are going to be pissed at me for giving away the picks that I did if he doesn't pan out. Now, that is what I was worried about. That's what I was worried about right there. I was very tempted to trade Rasmus Andersson before the episode even started. And that second pairing just continues to get shredded. So, I don't necessarily want to play 2 offensive defensemen together, but we're going to have to with Liljegren and Bengtsson. And we're going to have Liljegren on the left. And then Andersson, if he starts losing morale because of ice time, fuck him. And that happened the last time. That happened the last time we put him on the 4th line. Is he on the PK? I thought he was on the penalty kill. He is, so I don't know what the hell he's complaining about. But I kind of have no choice but to have him on that 3rd pairing. Now again, I could trade him. But not sure. Like, his value isn't tremendous, even though his potential is pretty good. So again, we don't exactly have the pieces. Like, I could probably get a Matthias Ekholm out of the deal. Let's see here. Can we beat the Minnesota Wild? Yes, we can, and we move into a very sexy 3-way tie at 69 points. It is a race for this division title. But, like I was saying, and by the way, 2 wins now for Adam Werner. Very, 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 very job well done is what I'm trying to say. Very, very good. I was just caught off guard that he almost has a .950 save percentage. It would be nice to see him return to form like he did in Ontario. What was that, 2 seasons ago now? Where he had like a .940 save percentage. It would be nice to see that Adam Werner return. But with Rasmus Andersson, the hope is that he'll just figure out his game. It's going to suck if he's not a good fit to be on a line pairing with Bengtsson. But then again, Liljegren should be a top 4 defenseman next season. Right now he's still at top 6, and Andersson went down with a concussion for about a week, so that's great. That's great. Point being, he might not be a permanent fixture. That's what I'm trying to say. Carl Dahlstrom, do we risk losing you? Do we risk losing you? Because you're probably never going to really make this team anyway. Problem is, do I want to lose you just to call you up for a week? Not really. So let's call up Linus Nassen. And we'll give Linus a chance. And I'll probably just run him on the PK anyway, rather than changing all the lines over. Which reminds me, I should look at how our penalty kill is doing. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to put Forsling up on the 2nd pairing, and we'll have Nassen with Liljegren. Sounds good. Nassen not the best on the PK, but hopefully he can just, do the job here for a couple of games. That's all we really need him to do. And defensively, that'll get Tommy Hedberg into the lineup. And we'll just make a couple of moves there. And we're looking good. Looking good. All right. So really quickly, let's go check the special teams here as we beat Montreal 4-0. Not too bad. Are we in first place? We could be. And we are. All right. It's only by a point over Anaheim and 2 points over Calgary. But with, 21 games to go? We're on 61 games. 21 games to go, we're in first place. It's something. It's something. 5th best record in the NHL. So goals for per game wasn't a concern, but we're 3rd in scoring and about middle of the pack. Lower end of the middle of the pack for goals against per game. Our power play, I mean, it's still, towards the lower side of the league, but it's not, not in the bottom 5. Our PK, though, is in the same thing, about the same. I feel like it's improving, though. I feel like it's improving. So we're in a half-decent spot. We are in a half-decent spot. So let's move forward. Let's keep this train going. And we'll sim at least up to the Montreal game. Sometimes people come back from injury a little bit quicker. So I just want to make sure that our returning players aren't 100% because we don't need them getting pissed off. As Rasmus Asplund goes down to injury. Great. Hogberg is fully healthy. All right, so Adam Werner, you've been doing incredibly well, but unfortunately you're going to have to sit. Let's get Axel Holmstrom into the lineup. We'll drop you down to the 4th line. We're going to have to make more changes here with people being fully healthy and ready to go for this game against the Habs. But it is February 28th, and we are in 1st place. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? I am certainly struggling to believe it when we lost our first game by the score of 8-2 against the Anaheim Ducks. But let's see here. Linus Nassen and Adam Werner both need to go back down to Ontario. And then from there, we'll do the same thing that we had before with Rasmus Andersson on the 3rd pairing because him and Bengtsson just aren't a good combination at all. He hasn't complained about ice time though since January, which is good. We're gonna play Hogberg against the Habs. Seems like a good idea to me. And then defensively, down in Ontario, Tom Hedberg. I'm glad you got to play some games. I wish you could be in the lineup a little bit more permanently. But let's get Linus Nassen back in. And the goaltender, we have a starter. That would be Adam Werner. Adam Werner, back between the pipes. We are good to go. Let's sim this game against Montreal. We're on 75 points. Will that improve? Will that improve? No, it won't. We lose to the Habs in regulation. Not good. Definitely not good. Pretty disappointing for Hogberg, too. 15 appearances, only 4 wins. He went from looking like it was his time to be the starter to being an unreliable backup. I'm not quite sure how that happened so quickly, but it did. And we're going to have Hogberg play against Nashville, even though the Ducks look to have Robin Lehner figured out. We need to put our best player forward as we move past the trade deadline. We are going with this team. Are they good enough? That is the question. And losing our first game immediately after the trade deadline doesn't exactly help put my mind at ease. We beat Boston. Can we beat Philly? Please? Probably not. Yeah, 5-2 loss. Of course. Of course. But we do get to the Nashville game. The good thing is the Ontario Reign are doing pretty good. The bad news is we are no longer in first place because the Calgary Flames have gone on a tear and are now 7 points ahead of us. But more good news, San Jose is in a wildcard spot. Oh my God. We dropped points once again where we couldn't afford to, and that has allowed Calgary to storm back and take control of the division. Philip Forsberg has turned his season around, though, so that's good. That is good. Kempe and the 3rd line, 4th line doing all right. I mean, the scoring's there. The scoring is absolutely there. It's just Bengtsson and Andersson have been far too inconsistent defensively, and now Anderson's complaining about ice time again. So, to solve that, there is really only one answer. There is really only one answer, and that is to probably split up Hedman and Hampus Lindholm and see if neither of them complain. So I'm going to put Bengtson with Lindholm, actually, and then we'll have Hedman with Rasmus Andersson. And we'll see if Hedman starts complaining about ice time. I'm not too concerned about Andersson complaining about the ice time because, like I said, he's really not a part of the future as we lose to Nashville. Great, and that brings us another game against the Anaheim Ducks where, again, they have Robin Lehner's number. Marcus Högberg, you are in severe danger of losing your backup spot to Adam Warner this season. Not even next season. You are in severe danger of me just saying, okay, if we need a backup goalie, particularly in the playoffs, he's not it. That could happen. 2 straight losses make that 3 straight losses and 4 out of our first 5 games to start the month of March. We do bounce back with a 3-0 shutout over the Ottawa Senators. We play the Colorado Avalanche, and we're not going to know what happens for a minute, but that's okay. Again, let's just scout the SHL for 6 weeks. We play the Avs, and we get a 5-3 win, and we get shut out 1-0 by the Blackhawks. Right. Still good enough for second place in the division, 5 points above the Sharks, 1 point above the Ducks, and now 8 points back of Calgary. I mean, we're still right there. We're on pace to make the playoffs and have home ice, but do I want to play the Anaheim Ducks in the first round? Hell no. I'd rather finish in the wild card spot and not have home ice advantage, because that's a death sentence having to play against the Ducks. 100%. But let's see here. Bengtson, I don't know for sure how he's doing. Hedman hasn't complained about ice time, so that's good. Oh boy. Alright. Well, again, Högberg is in for this next game. And we have to hope for the best. We have 10 games to go. 10 games to go in this season. Can Högberg get us a win against Buffalo? They're a good team, and we do get the 3-2 shootout win. I was hoping it'd be a bit more convincing. I would have kept him in. We're going to have to go back to Robin Lehner. We're now 3 points clear of Anaheim. But man, having to play them in the first round doesn't sound like too much fun. Having to play them in the first round doesn't seem like a whole hell of a lot of fun. But let's go. 9 games left. We play Tampa, who could be on 40 wins by the time we actually play them. And we're going to go 2 losses before we switch up the goaltending. Let's see here. There's a shootout loss, so I won't exactly count that. We at least get the point. Playing against New Jersey, we're probably going to lose because I mentioned something about losses. Yeah, we get the 4-3 win. Rasmus is healthy, but I'm not all that concerned about the AHL lineup, so he's just going to have to miss a game or 2 or 7. It depends. So we do have a 5-game point streak going on, which is nice. Can we continue that against New Jersey? They're a pretty good team. We get a 6-4 win. And now we have to play Anaheim again. Oh my god, and then Cederholm goes down to injury, so that at least gives me the excuse to edit the AHL lines. Oh my god, this game against Anaheim. This could be a major game as far as the standings and whether or not we end up having home ice advantage in the first round. This could be massively important for us. And I certainly hope that we win. Certainly hope that we manage to get the win really quickly. Check the defense. Bengtson's plus-minus is still garbage. Victor Hedman has not complained about ice time yet because he is a wonderful person. A true team player is Victor Hedman. All right. Anaheim. And you know what? I want to look at the standings first. I want to look at the standings. We're on 91 points with 4 games left. The Calgary Flames, though, have clinched the division. They just turned it on out of nowhere. At one point, they were, I believe, in 3rd behind us and Anaheim. They went on to clinch the division. But we are 6 points clear of the Anaheim Ducks. If we win this game, we should seal home ice advantage for that matchup. Potentially, that could create an opening for the San Jose Sharks to maybe overtake the Ducks, which would be the best case scenario. Let's see here. Another game against Anaheim, and we finally get a win. Oh my God. And there you have it. The Stockholm Kings are in the playoffs, baby. We made it. We made it. We are back, thank God. Because I was so nervous to stick with this team. And there you have it. San Jose only 4 points back of Anaheim. This is a race to the finish. And you know what? I don't even want to say the word because I don't even want to jinx it. I'm just going to do something really quick. I think you guys will know the purpose of this because we pretty much have the second seed locked up, right? We pretty much have the second seed locked up, so I think you guys get what I'm doing by what I just did. And we'll hope for the best. And we'll hope that San Jose can pass Anaheim. Now we play the St. Louis Blues. Thankfully, we don't play the Sharks, so we don't have to feel bad if we were to beat them. And there's an injury. Forsbach Carlson with a bruised arm is out until the end of April, which means he's out until the second round. I knew we wouldn't make it to the playoffs without another injury. I knew it. It just wasn't going to happen. There's no way we were going to be lucky enough to make it. And that is indeed the case, which means who's done the best? Who's done the best? 24 points. Oh my God, Jonathan Dahlen and Malte Stromwall both reasonably could be pushed up to that third line. And you have Kempe and Eriksson Ek. Wow. I mean, you could almost make the fourth line the third line if it wouldn't affect things too much. And you know what? I think that's exactly what I'm going to do to keep that trio together. Because that trio's on fire right now, and they deserve a bit more ice time. So we'll bring in Elias Anderson. And he will be on that fourth line with Eriksson Ek and Kempe. And again, the hope is that Kempe and Eriksson Ek don't complain about ice time. That is the hope. Victor Hedman continues to be an absolute fucking beautiful man. God, thank you for not complaining about ice time. My God, that just shows that Rasmus Andersson isn't going to be on this team for much longer if he's going to complain about being on the third pairing. Damn. All right, so let's swap those two out. And we'll see what this team can do as we move forward into the postseason. We do lose to the Blues. We'll see what we can do against the Calgary Flames. It's another loss. I don't exactly blame Högberg, though. It was a 2-0 shutout. The last game of the year against the Winnipeg Jets. Is it going to be another loss? No, it's a 7-0 shutout victory. And with that, we're at least able to go into the playoffs on a very strong note. A very strong note indeed. So let's see here. Have San Jose pulled off the miracle? They have not. They have not. It is guaranteed. It is guaranteed. We will play the Anaheim Ducks in the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. We at least were able to get home ice advantage over them. So that is a very positive note as the season, wow, is really dragging on. We get quite a few days rest. Jesus, what is going on? What is going on? It'd be nice if it was like FIFA and, you know, players had fatigue, because we just got quite a few days off. A full week in between the end of the season and the start of the postseason. That is crazy. That is absolutely crazy. But that does it for a very successful season for us. As we get matched up on day 2, that would explain that extra day off. But let's take a look here. Of course, we'll take a look at the team stats and all that in a moment. But I think the Lions are pretty much good to go. Has Kempe complained about ice time? No, he hasn't. Neither has Eriksson Ek. We're good. We are good to go defensively. Defensively, we're looking all right. No one's complained. We just need to make sure that Robin Lehner is our guy for the postseason. And then we wanted to take Hedberg back out down in Ontario, because from the looks of it, they're also going to be in the playoffs. And we'll get Cederholm back in for them. Surprising. I don't feel like I should... I don't know. I'm surprised. Genuinely, I am. I thought this would go poorly. So I'm very happy with how this episode turned out. Let's take a look at the team stats first before the player stats. Anaheim, you know, I thought we were free and clear, right? I thought we were good to go. I was wrong. Anaheim mathematically could have still caught us. We have the tiebreaker on them. Barely. So I almost accidentally threw away home ice advantage, but thankfully I did not. As far as the team's offense go, we had the second most prolific offense in the NHL behind the Colorado Avalanche. As far as goals against per game goes, middle of the pack. Middle of the pack, you would say. Our power play, not the worst in the league, but a bottom 5 power play. So we'll probably take a look at that again. And then the penalty kill. What's that, a bottom 10 power or penalty kill for us? Not ideal. We'll definitely look at the special teams. And in the AHL, it is confirmed the Ontario Reign are moving on to the postseason as well. So that is awesome. I hate this chair that squeaks. Oh my god. Sorry, that's completely off topic. Anyways, we get a look at the player stats. Alex Nylander actually led this team in points. 69 points in 82 games. 66 for Raquel. Of course, had some time on the first line, but mainly a second line guy for us. 65 for William Nylander. And 52 for Philip Forsberg. But you notice, every single one of them are minus players. Every single one of them. Is that worth maybe changing things up? We could look at it. 47 points for Victor Hedman. 46 for Jonathan Dahlen. 43 for Bengtsson, but he was a minus 15. 41 for Burakovsky and Stromwall. 31 for Forsbacher Karlsson and Victor Arvidsson. Hampus Lindholm with 29. 27 for Luke. 26 for Kempe. 26 for Eriksson Ek. Pretty disappointing. Again, we had him as a power forward. We have him currently as a two-way. You could argue a playmaker. But a somewhat disappointing season for him. 25 points for Liljegren. 11 points in 20 games for Elias Anderson. And from there, just a couple of guys who managed to play a few games. Carl Grundstrom had 25 games played this season. The goaltending. 65 appearances for Robin Lehner with a .915 save percentage. That's half the reason why we almost lost home ice. He needs to be better. A .910 save percentage for Marcus Högberg in 20 appearances. Adam Warner, 2 appearances, 2 wins, a .947. He is voodoo. He is magic. Somehow, he always ends up being amazing. I have no idea how. Although, in fairness, he only has a .916 save percentage in 58 games down in the AHL. And actually, in the AHL, our leading scorer is Lucas Vedemo with 41 points, and then Bronnstrom, a defenseman, with 40. So we've struggled to score with the Ontario Reign. But as we look to wrap this episode up, let's take a look at the league-wide scoring. Evgeny Malkin and Vladimir Tarasenko, the only 2 players to break the 90-point mark. Kirill Kaprizov up there for scoring with 84 points, 84 overall, 78 points in that season for the Florida Panthers. Connor McDavid not too far off the pace, 76 points, but never really reaches that 100-point total. It is surprising. It is surprising. Goalies, I'm not all that concerned. I mean, we know our guys aren't going to be up there. But the rookie race could potentially be interesting, and it's Robin Kovacs. 72 points in 82 games. Nico Hischier was a rookie. 87 overall rookie. But he was up there. I'm not surprised. Nolan Patrick, also a rookie this season. Some pretty big names finally had their rookie season, but it looks like it's going to go to Robin Kovacs unless somehow Evan Fitzpatrick, Carter Hart, or maybe even Halverson sneak in there to win it. So a pretty interesting Calder race, but there you have it, guys. You are caught up on all of the stats. The regular season has come to a close, and that leads us into the next episode where we're back. We are in the playoffs, and we take on the Anaheim Ducks in round 1. We'll take a look at their lineup in the next episode. So until then, guys, if you have enjoyed, of course, make sure to hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already to continue following this series and others. Follow me on Twitter at Tukey24, of course, for updates and other random stuff. And hell, join the notification squad. Why not? Just in case. I haven't had too much issue with this apparently, but you never know when YouTube's just going to decide, hey, your video's not showing up in sub boxes. Hey, I'm just going to randomly unsubscribe people to you. It hasn't happened too much, as far as I know, yet. But one of these days it's going to happen, and that's going to suck. So you're going to want as many options as you possibly can to make sure that you're still in the loop and are up to date on all things happening on this channel. Guys, again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode of A Nation United.